So I'm going to apologize that we're starting a bit late. I'm sure that the ambassador is going to give us an abbreviated version of the talk that he's prepared. So ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming His Excellency, Professor Adefuye, the Nigerian ambassador to the US. Thank you.
Professor Chino Achebe, President and officers of Brown University, distinguished Nigerians, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. First, let me bring you warm and fraternal greetings from the government and people of Nigeria. We are very pleased that this event is taking place, that Brown University, a reputable international institution, is taking the lead and joining us and teaming up with us in giving honor to one of us to whom honor is due. It's not everyone that God gives the privilege of attaining the age of 80. In our case in Nigeria, we are very happy and we are very grateful to God that one of our best gifts to humanity, to the literary world, is being honored. First, he has attained the age of 80 years. God has been very kind to us to keep him up to the age of 80 years. And there'll be more of that. And that his quality is being acknowledged not only by us in Nigeria, but by the international community. I don't need to go, it's like preaching to be converted, if I begin to tell you about our guest of honor. It's somebody you all know. And somebody who has been honored several times. And in Nigeria, we do appreciate good quality. But at the risk of stating the obvious, I just do a paraphrase. You know him well, a literary giant, somebody who has been in the vanguard of what you used to call, in the post-independence period, the anti-colonial academic literature of African universities. Somebody who had given a pride of place, who had been able to stage a successful crusade to see African literature enshrined as a respectable academic discipline. Professor Achebe was not alone in that crusade. While he was Africanizing literature and putting African literature as a respectable discipline, his colleagues in other areas, notably Professor Kenneth Dickey and Adefuye, were establishing the validity of pre-colonial African history as a precondition for understanding events in the colonial and contemporary world. So they were a group. He was at the University of Ibadan, where his other colleagues, Elechi Amadi, Wole Soyinka, Kole Omotosho, all of them developed. All of them started and gave a pride of place to what we call African literature. I don't need to tell you what all his books and the many poetry and poems he has written, and the fact that, do I need to tell you Things Fall Apart sold millions and millions of copies and has been part of the academic discipline and part of literature for both undergraduate and degree courses. I don't need to tell you that. I don't need to tell you all the awards he has received. I don't need to tell you that Brown University, you are indeed lucky to be able to keep him here, because I know the demands on him in every place there. I don't need to tell you, and I'm sure there are some of them in this audience, who earned their place in the academic world by studying or commenting on part of his work. I don't need to inform you that so many people earned their PhD degrees and became professors by reading, studying, and commenting on his work. So you don't all have only a literary giant. You have a fountain of knowledge here, a source and inspiration to many people, to many academia who are developed in various parts of the world. And therefore, we are very, very honored that he is one of us. He's one of those who influenced somebody like me to be an African historian, having read his own book. And I'm proud to be standing before you to be one of those whom Professor Achebe's work has influenced to become what I am currently am. So on behalf of Nigerians, and I'm bringing that message to you from the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, we thank God for you. We thank God for your life. We thank you for what you have become. We thank you for accepting to be God's messenger in making other people become literary giants and successful academicians in the world. We are grateful for what you have done for Nigerian intellectualism. We are grateful for what you have done for many of us. And our prayer is that may the good Lord bless and keep you. May he continue to let his face shine upon you. And may you live long so that for many of us and those coming behind of us, you continue to be the fountain of wisdom and knowledge that you have always been. Professor Achebe's work in all its ramifications reflects the mood of the time. When you go through what Things Fall Apart was to bring about the reflection of what society was at the time, published in 1960, at the time when we had independence, transition from our own traditional system and the influence of Western culture on us. By the time you get to the man of the people, you see him reflecting the current mood in the society, in which people, the barrier of independence has gone, and we were then facing the negative side of our political development when our rulers began to see themselves as inheritors of the colonial landscape. And so it was a satire on the corrupt politicians of Nigeria. By the time you get to the aunties of the savannah, you see him depicting the man who wanted to be the president for life. And if you look at the period of that in our country, that was a time when we had some rulers who forced themselves on us and having engaged in series of transitions to nowhere. And so, in other words, reflecting the mood of the society, what we are seeing is that Professor Achebe was reflecting what was happening in the society, and using literature as a means of social crusade. We thank you for that. So I'm not surprised that right now, he's been every time of his birthday, he's been sponsoring the African Colloquium to reflect, to draw attention to what the contemporary situation in Africa, what is happening. And so, ladies and gentlemen, as talking briefly about Africa, Prime Minister Tony Blair, when he was launching his program, Commission for Africa, said the state of Africa is a scar on the conscience of the world. Right now, more than 40% of the people in Africa live on less than $1 a day. We've been victims of civil war, political crisis, and all those things that have stagnated and regressed our development. And therefore, Professor Achebe focusing his birthday, using it to focus on development in Africa, is just the kind of person he is. His literature, his experience reflects the mood of the moment. And I'm so happy, it's not for nothing that countries like Rwanda and Angola and Nigeria have been chosen as topics. Rwanda reflects the worst of us in Africa, the negative effects of our lack of democracy, human rights, rule of law. And one of the things that regressed us in Africa have been outbreak of civil wars. The wars develops, apart from the fact that Africa, unlike Latin America and Asian countries who have made progress, the civil wars that occurred in Africa, arising from a failure to implement the tenets of democracy, has made us to regress. And therefore, focusing on Rwanda, Congo, and Nigeria, which have all experienced the tumults of civil war, is just in tune with what Professor Achebe is doing. And as we look into those areas, let's be able to come into suggestions that make our continent stable, And I make things like measures taken by African leaders as, making AU out of the AU, making it clear that African nations will never allow civil undemocratically elected rule to be there, and making sure that measures like African peer review mechanism works. We only make sure that maybe we'll be back to the path of progress. I wish you, the time is very much against me, but I very much want to take part in the discussions on aspects of the discussions on Nigeria, both on our post-elections for 2011 and the crisis in the Niger Delta issue. But I can assure you, as ambassador for Nigeria here, we are determined to have a successful election in 2011. Professor Jegai here will give you all the assurance, and we shall never disappoint you. Happy birthday, sir.